Hey guys, McDonald19 here. Another quick video, just in regards to 3 changes for this season's rules that I think are important for our players to understand and know. Get 3 different tabs open up here too, so I'm going to go through each thing right now. So, lots of questions about player statuses. These statuses might also change when we go to our new website. There's some suggestions and some changes proposed, right? So just go over quickly. Obviously, veteran status is players have been around for a while. If you played any season before in LG and you're picked up in any bidding session or the CHL draft, you're considered a veteran. Prospect player status. This is given to any of the new guys. So if you're brand new to the website, you've never played here before in our hockey league, you're considered a prospect. Biggest thing to understand about being a prospect is you're waiver exempt, and for your first season in the league, you're only eligible to play full-time in the CHL. You can ECU as an emergency call-up to the AHL or the NHL as well. Drafted players, pretty common sense. Any players that were a prospect player last season in the CHL and were drafted to the NHL as a drafted player are considered a draft pick. Random veterans, this is where it gets a little bit complicated. So any veteran player that is not picked up in a bidding session that signs up either late or is assigned to a team via random assignment is considered a random veteran. The biggest thing to keep in mind with random veterans is they're issued a one-season non-resignable contract of $500K. The reason they're considered a random veteran, not a veteran, is because they're limited in where they can play. Obviously, when a talented player signs up late and skips bidding, it can totally circumvent the system and undermine what bidding, the whole purpose of bidding, to give out a true value for each player is. That's why we have the status in here. So this season, random veterans are limited to 1 per roster in the AHL and none in the NHL. That's just the way it's been so far over the past several seasons for the restrictions on random veterans. The next thing we're going to talk about quickly is just emergency call-ups. So ECUs, ECU restrictions, and so on and so forth. So there's been some minor changes made this season that's going to allow an ECU player to ECU for a maximum of 3 times a week. So in past seasons, you were allowed to ECU 5 times for the season, maximum, once per week. The weekly limitations have been removed. So that way, as a player, you'll be allowed to ECU 3 times in a week. This may come into a big factor at the end of the season if players become inactive and teams that are out of the playoffs are struggling to field teams. So if you're in the AHL for this season, you may be able to score 6 games in a week near the end of the season because you can play 3 at the NHL level as well as 3 for your regular team. The last thing I want to talk about are some changes with the waiver wire. Waivers caused issues in past seasons that we're kind of trying to get rid of here. So we're opening up 2 different stages of waivers, regular waivers and conditional waivers. Regular waivers is just like what we're used to right now. The only restriction is that teams are only allowed to have 2 players on waivers at a time. That opened up right after AHL bidding and will close 3 hours after the trade deadline, which will be the Sunday of week 4, which is the Sunday going into week 5 at about 8 p.m. is when waivers will close, so regular waivers. Once regular waivers close, that's when our conditional waiver period begins. Our conditional waiver period is for non-playoff teams to return players that were called up. So we saw it last season and several seasons too. You may have the New York Rangers last season. Their AHL team was top 3 in the conference, but the NHL team was 20 points out of the playoffs. So if issues occurred where the Rangers needed full-time call-ups to help field a team for the rest of the season at the NHL level, those players who were committed to the AHL team for that season shouldn't be punished per se by going from a top playoff team in the AHL to a bottom-feeding NHL team for the rest of the season. Therefore, the conditional waiver period allows for those players to be sent back to their AHL affiliate team for the playoffs, back to the team that they were originally on. This is also the time period, and the only time period where we're going to allow teams to send their drafted players back to their affiliate teams prior to the playoffs beginning. So those are the 3 major changes that we made for this up-and-coming season. I just wanted to make sure that everyone kind of understands the purpose. One other thing that we did discuss and that is in play is there are no 1-season bans. All bans this season will be a 2-season ban, regardless of why you're quitting or why you're leaving. Just so everyone understands, there is no retirement during the season. So if you're going to send me a message and you're saying I'm retiring for the rest of the season, just fully understand that a retirement during the season is considered the same thing as quitting or being removed. So a 2-season ban will be issued. As promised, though, and to be fair to everyone, all the 2-season bans that were issued this season will be up for appeal beginning in September. The appeals will come directly to myself and Triz so we can review each one, and in certain situations, of course, maybe if an Xbox 360 broke during the season or something unfortunate may have happened that you cannot fulfill your commitment to your team during the summer season occurs, we will be issuing appeals for those situations. But like I said, each case will be an individual basis and will be reviewed by us at the end of the season. If you guys have any questions about the rules or the changes, feel free to let myself and staff know. Thanks.